In a group known for constant evolution, there's one member who never really changed. While the world was watching transformation after transformation, bold concepts, risky fashion, and global domination, there was one presence that stayed almost exactly the same. And now, fans are starting to notice something they didn't question before. Welcome back to K-pop Exposed, where we uncover what fans don't always see, and today, we're talking about something subtle, something quiet, but something that might explain why Jisoo feels so different lately. When you think about BLACKPINK, one word immediately comes to mind: evolution. From their debut era to their current global status, everything about them has continuously changed. Their sound became more experimental, their image more daring, and their presence more international. Each member carved out a distinct identity, constantly adapting, constantly growing, constantly surprising fans. That's what makes BLACKPINK powerful. They don't stay still. They move forward. They redefine themselves. And in the world of K-pop, that's not just normal, it's necessary. But in the middle of all that change, there's something almost unexpected. Something that didn't follow the same pattern. Jisoo. From the very beginning, Jisoo carried a very specific aura. Elegant, calm, classic. There was a sense of stability in her presence, something timeless that didn't rely on trends or sudden shifts. While others experimented with stronger, edgier concepts, Jisoo remained grounded in a softer, more refined identity. And what's interesting is, years later, that hasn't really changed. She still carries that same elegance, the same calm energy, the same quiet confidence. And at first, that might not seem unusual. It might even feel normal. But when you place that consistency next to everything else that's evolving so quickly, it starts to stand out in a completely different way. Because in an industry where change is constant, staying the same becomes noticeable. Fans didn't always question it. For a long time, Jisoo's image felt like a natural part of the group's balance. While other members pushed boundaries, she anchored the group with something stable, something familiar. But now, things feel different. Not because Jisoo changed, but because everything around her did. The contrast is stronger now. The gap between constant reinvention and quiet consistency is more visible than ever. And that's exactly why people are starting to pay attention. Some fans describe it as Jisoo feels different lately. But when you really look at it, maybe she doesn't. Maybe she's exactly the same as she's always been. And that's the point. Because when everything else evolves, the one thing that stays consistent begins to feel unique. It creates a different kind of presence. Not loud, not attention-seeking, but steady. And sometimes, that kind of presence hits even harder. In many ways, Jisoo represents something rare in K-pop. While the industry is built on reinvention, on chasing trends, on constantly refreshing an image to stay relevant, Jisoo seems to move differently. She doesn't rush to change. She doesn't dramatically shift who she is. And instead of fading into the background, she becomes more defined.
There's a certain confidence in that.
A quiet kind of strength that doesn't need to prove itself through constant transformation. It's the kind of presence that doesn't demand attention, but naturally draws it anyway. And over time, that creates something incredibly powerful: identity. Jisoo's identity is clear, recognizable, consistent. And in a world where everything can feel temporary, that kind of clarity stands out. Fans know what she represents. Brands understand her image. The public sees her as someone timeless rather than trendy. While others evolve to stay relevant, Jisoo remains relevant by staying true to herself. And maybe that's not something people fully appreciated before. Maybe it was overlooked because it felt too simple, too expected, too stable. But now, in contrast with everything that's changing so quickly, that stability feels different. It feels intentional. It feels meaningful. And it raises a quiet question. What if Jisoo was never meant to change in the same way? What if her role was never about transformation, but about consistency? Because every group needs balance. Not just chaos and evolution, but also grounding. Something that holds everything together. And maybe, without even realizing it, Jisoo has always been that point of balance within BLACKPINK. Not louder, Not flashier, but essential. And now that fans are starting to see that more clearly, her presence feels different. Not because she changed, but because people are finally understanding her in a deeper way. Sometimes, the most powerful thing isn't transformation. Sometimes, it's knowing exactly who you are and refusing to lose that no matter how much everything else changes. So maybe Jisoo didn't fall behind. Maybe she didn't stay stuck. Maybe she didn't miss out on evolution. Maybe she just chose a different path. A quieter one. A steadier one. A path that doesn't rely on constant change to prove its value. And maybe that's exactly why, now more than ever, Jisoo feels different. In a group known for constant evolution, there's one member who never really changed. While the world was watching transformation after transformation, bold concepts, risky fashion, and global domination, there was one presence that stayed almost exactly the same. And now, fans are starting to notice something they didn't question before. Welcome back to K-pop Exposed, where we uncover what fans don't always see. And today, we're talking about something subtle, something quiet, but something that might explain why Jisoo feels so different lately. When you think about BLACKPINK, one word immediately comes to mind: evolution. From their debut era to their current global status, everything about them has continuously changed. Their sound became more experimental, their image more daring, and their presence expanded far beyond the boundaries of K-pop. Each member built a powerful individual identity. Identities that evolve, adapt, and sometimes completely transform depending on the era. And fans have come to expect that. Because in this industry, change isn't just a strategy, it's survival. But in the middle of all that movement, all that reinvention, there's something almost impossible to ignore once you see it.
Jisoo.
From the very beginning, she carried a presence that felt different. Not louder, not more intense, but more grounded, elegant,
Calm.
classic. There was a timeless quality to her image, something that didn't depend on trends or sudden shifts. And what's surprising is, years later, that same image is still there. The way she carries herself, the way she expresses emotion, even the way she appears in public spaces. It all feels consistent, almost untouched by the pressure to constantly reinvent. And, at first glance, that might seem simple, even expected. But when you place that consistency next to everything else that's evolving so rapidly, it starts to feel rare. Because in a world where everything changes, staying the same becomes something unusual. At first, fans didn't question it. Jisoo's presence felt like a natural balance within the group. While other members pushed boundaries, explored new aesthetics, and embraced bold transformations, she held onto something steady, something familiar. But now, as time goes on, that contrast is becoming more visible. It's not that Jisoo changed, it's that everything else did. And when everything around you transforms, the one thing that stays constant begins to stand out in a completely new way. That's why more fans are starting to notice. Not because she suddenly did something different, but because her consistency is now impossible to overlook. There's a quiet power in that. A kind of confidence that doesn't rely on constant change to prove itself. While others evolve to stay relevant, Jisoo remains relevant by simply being
Jisoo.
And that creates something deeper than just popularity. It creates identity. An identity that doesn't feel temporary. An identity that doesn't shift depending on trends. An identity that feels stable, clear, and recognizable no matter the era. In an industry where many idols are expected to constantly redefine themselves, that kind of stability can almost feel rebellious. Because it goes against expectation. It challenges the idea that you always have to change to stay important. And maybe that's why her presence feels stronger now than ever before. Because people are starting to realize that she never needed to change in the first place. There's also something else that makes this even more interesting. Silence. Not literal silence, but a quieter presence compared to the noise around her. In a world full of constant updates, constant exposure, constant movement, Jisoo doesn't always follow that same pace. She appears when it matters. She speaks when it counts. And in between, there's space. And that space creates curiosity. It makes people wonder. It makes every appearance feel more intentional, more meaningful. And over time, that builds a different kind of connection with fans. Not one based on constant visibility, but one built on anticipation. You don't always see everything she's doing, and maybe that's the point. Because when something isn't constantly in front of you, it becomes more valuable when it appears. And that adds another layer to her presence. She's not just consistent, she's controlled. Controlled in how she presents herself, how she maintains her image, and how she moves within an industry that often demands the opposite. And that level of control creates longevity, because trends fade, concepts change, styles evolve, but a strong, clear identity that lasts. And maybe that's what we're seeing now. Not just a member who stayed the same, but someone whose approach is starting to make more sense over time. Someone who didn't rush to follow every shift because she didn't need to. Someone who didn't chase every trend because she already had something stronger, something stable, something timeless. So when fans say, Jisoo feels different lately, maybe what they're really feeling isn't change. Maybe it's realization. The realization that while everything else was evolving, she was building something quieter, but deeper. Something that doesn't need constant transformation to stay relevant. Something that doesn't depend on change to stand out. Because sometimes the most powerful presence isn't the one that changes the most, but the one that knows exactly who it is and never lets that go. So maybe Jisoo didn't fall behind. Maybe she didn't stay stuck. Maybe she didn't miss out on evolution at all. Maybe she just chose a different path. A path that doesn't follow the noise. A path that doesn't rely on constant reinvention. A path that feels slower, but lasts longer. And maybe in the end, that's exactly why she feels so different now.